Ooh yeah, McDizzle Gaming coming at ya.
I love Helldivers 2 so much, like I've got just about 200 hours in it so far. It is a great game and it is so much fun with friends. But it is so shady that Sony allowed Helldivers 2 to get sold in a number of countries where you can't actually play it. And we even got jokers using this for a weapon in their little console war. Do a lot of games have different requirements of creating credentials, downloading launchers, and other things? Sure. But most of those games do not sell the game in countries where you're not going to be able to play it. Personally, does it affect me? No, but it affects a lot of the people that I've been defending democracy with. Sony is self-sabotaging an amazing game in order to get your data, and that's really gross. But it is selling the game in regions that won't be able to play it. That is shady. The least I can do is make a video discussing it. Because I'm really sick of people making the generalization that it's not a big deal because it's not a big deal to them. Well, take a moment to think about how it might impact someone else and take into consideration their concerns. This has brought over 200,000 negative reviews over the last couple of days. It hasn't made a noticeable change to the player base at this time, but I'm sure that will change after a little while. It'll be curious to look at if sales have been impacted over this time period. Like, we'll have to look at that in the future. But none of this is good, and it's a shame for a game like Helldivers 2, which is fantastic. So what is Arrowhead saying about this? Well, one of their community managers obviously wasn't educated about it and basically called it not a big deal and got destroyed by the internet. They did come back and apologize. And we know Arrowhead and the developers are actually pretty horrified by this, although they do have some culpability, of course. From a human standpoint, I have empathy for people that have worked really hard on game, and these terrible decisions are just really derailing it. On the other hand, I do think they had some more accountability around the education piece. Like, for example, they should know that the company they're partnering with will not allow the game to be played in X countries or have a solution for it. The latest update that we have is that they're working with PlayStation on solutions, especially for those countries that do not have access to PSN. But they don't have the final say. It's the big baddies at Sony that most of my anger is directed at. Although Arrowhead, for their credit, is taking some accountability. It was their decision to disable linking at launch so players could play the game, as there was technical issues preventing it from happening. They knew for about 6 months prior that it would be mandatory, and I remember hearing that you would have to link it up when I got the game, and then I didn't hear anything more about it. Sony is responsible for working with Steam to sell the game. How hard would it have been for Sony to say, hey, don't sell it to these countries because we don't have PSN service there? Currently, PSN's only available in about 70 countries and not available in over 100 countries. Could someone take the steps and try to set up a PSN in another country? Sure they can, but they shouldn't have to. So if you set up a PSN in a country you don't live in, you risk losing that account if Sony cracks down on something. There is no consumer protection there. Why would you want to do that? Additionally, I understand why people wouldn't want to give their data to Sony. They've had so many data breaches. And then you have the fanboys coming out, doing what they do best, making it about them and their favorite plastic box. It is mind-blowing how someone could make bootlicking a corporation their entire personality. But Xvault Gaming manages to do that. This wish combination of Stone Cold Steve Austin meets a koala does not have your best interest in mind. His total personality is to defend Sony at every turn. That's pretty wild. How can you defend Sony against what's happening right now by selling copies of Helldivers 2 to people that you know wouldn't be able to play it in the long term? Is it easy to set up a PSN? Sure. If you live in a country that's not supported with it, it's not so easy and not recommended because you could lose everything. And trying to justify this by saying they'll use Sony's infrastructure for moderation and banning? Sure, Sony's infrastructure is one option. There are plenty of other options for infrastructure to support those type of activities. Don't let dotardic calamities like Xvault Gaming influence you at all. In fact, check out his channel. It takes a lot of bravery to sound as stupid as he does on such a consistent basis. I'm not that brave. Good on him. And sure, people will have a preference on what they play a game in. That's all good. Play whatever you want, and I hope you love video games. I just don't have much patience for people that spin BS for their own narrative, especially something as serious as Sony and Arrowhead really misleading people. You can say what you want about Arrowhead indicating early on that you're going to have to link a PSN to be able to play. It's big time on Sony for allowing this game to be sold in regions where people are not going to be able to play it. What a waste of people's time and money. I heard Steam is giving refunds out to players that are impacted by this. I don't know whether that's true or not, but they certainly should be. Look, at the end of the day, I just want everyone to be able to play Helldivers and not have any problems. There's a lot of trust broken, and it's really in Arrowhead and Sony's court what happens next. Just because it's not a big issue to a PlayStation fanboy like Xvault does not mean it's a huge issue globally. And I'll use whatever voice I have to call that out. If you enjoyed this video, drop it a like. If you're new to the channel, I cover a lot of gaming news, live streams, random clips, and more. And I try to do it with an approach that's grounded in reality. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.